It is late afternoon in the national forest, somewhere in the pine woods off a gravel road. You hiked 2 miles in, you found a flat spot, and you set up a camouflage tent that cost you $200 at the sporting goods store. You crawled in at dark, feeling invisible. And at 7 the next morning, a stranger with a dog walked straight into your camp like he had your street address. That happens to stealth campers all over this country every weekend. Here is what nobody at that store will tell you. The man never saw your tent. He read everything around your tent. My people moved through woods like these for 10,000 years. Hunting camps, scouting camps, whole families traveling quiet through hard country. And the shelter was never the secret. Today I'm going to hand you 20 of the old skills that made a camp disappear. Stay with me all the way to tip number 20, because that one is about a slow, invisible river that runs through every valley in America after dark. The old scouts used it to hide entire camps, and I have never heard a modern camping channel explain it. I'm Wes Kingfisher. I'm 64 years old, I'm of Cherokee heritage, and I was raised by my grandmother Ada in the hills of eastern Oklahoma, where I still live today. My grandmother taught me the plants and the kitchen. My grandfather and my uncles taught me these oak and hickory woods, and 40 years on the powwow trail taught me the rest, from the northern plains to the desert southwest. The old ones never wrote this down, so listen close. Now, the modern answer to staying hidden is the one you already bought. Pattern fabric, and camouflage is fine as far as it goes, but it answers the wrong question. Camouflage hides you from a pair of eyes 30 feet away. Almost nobody finds a camp with their eyes at 30 feet. They find it from 300 yards, with their ears, with their nose, and with plain reasoning about where a person would put a tent. My grandfather used to say a camp is not a thing you see. A camp is a thing that happens, and anybody paying attention can read what happens. Smoke happens, and sound happens, and a light in the dark happens. So the old way starts long before the tent ever comes out of the bag. And let me say this plain, because it matters. These skills are for camping quiet and respectful on land you have a right to be on. Being invisible out there is a courtesy to the land and to everybody else in it. And keep that river in the back of your mind, because that one thing the night air does explains half of what I'm about to show you. Tip number 1, choose your camp at midday, not at dusk. The old traveling parties picked the night stopping place while the sun was still high, and they did it for a simple reason. Daylight shows you what dusk hides. In good light, you can see the deer trails crossing the ground, the boot prints of other people, the low wet spots that will soak your bedding, and the dead limbs hanging overhead. Come dusk, all of that disappears, and you end up camped somewhere a smarter man would have walked past. So when you figure you have about 2 hours of light left, stop walking. 2 hours. That is your rule. The camp you choose in a hurry at dark is the camp that gets found. Now, before we go on to tip number 2, everything on this list comes out of a book I put together called The Native American Way. 101 remedies, skills, and recipes that kept my people alive for 10,000 years. It is the knowledge my grandmother Ada and the elders of Indian country handed me around 1,000 fires, written down plain, step by step, because the old ones never wrote it down and somebody had to. The backyard plants and exactly how the old ones used them, the teas and salves from Ada's kitchen, the wild foods and when to gather them, the fire and shelter and water skills, and the recipes that fed the people through every winter. The campcraft I am teaching you today has its own page in that book. It is $17, marked down from $47. $17 set against one trip to the sporting goods store or the pharmacy aisle for knowledge that had 10,000 years of testing behind it. That is the guarantee on this one. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you're watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, back to the woods, because the next 4 tips are all about the same thing, and that is where you put yourself. Tip number 2, camp at least 100 yards back from water. I know the creek is pretty, but everything in the woods travels to water. The deer travel to it, the raccoons travel to it, and people travel to it on trails their feet have been wearing in for generations. 100 yards back minimum. That is a football field between you and the busiest road in the forest. And there's a second reason the old camp sat back from the creek. Running water is noise, and noise works both ways. Camp beside it, and you will never hear footsteps coming. Tip number 3, stay off the skyline. A man standing on a bare ridge top at dusk is a black paper cutout against a lit-up sky, and so is his tent. You can see that silhouette from a mile off. Our people out on the plains, where the country is wide open, never crossed a ridge standing tall, and they surely never slept on top of one. When you move over high ground, cross low and quick, and put your camp below the crest where timber breaks up your shape. Tip number 4, camp where nobody has a reason to walk. This is the quiet genius of the old camps. People follow trails, people go to water, and people climb to the pretty overlook. So the hidden camp sits in the one place with none of those. An ordinary flat patch in thick, unremarkable timber with no trail through it, no water in it, and no view from it. Boring ground is invisible ground. Tip number 5, look up before you lie down. My grandfather drilled this one into me before I was 10 years old. A dead limb hanging in an oak or a hickory can weigh a couple 100 pounds, and the old-timers called them widow makers for an honest reason. Stand on your bed spot. Look straight up through the branches. If anything dead is hanging over you, move the bed. It takes 10 seconds, and it is the cheapest insurance in the woods. Now the fire, because fire is the loudest thing a camp does. Tip number 6, dig your fire into the ground. I learned this style from our people out on the plains, and I have cooked over it more times than I can count. You dig a hole about 1 foot across and 1 foot deep. 1 foot both ways. A hand span away, you dig a second, smaller hole, angled so it meets the first one at the bottom. That second hole feeds air to the base of the fire like a bellows. The fire burns down in the earth, hotter than an open fire, with barely any light showing and almost no smoke rising. It cooks faster, it uses half the wood, and from 50 yards away it does not exist. Tip number 7, burn only dead, standing wood, about thumb thick. Here's the why, because the old ones always knew the why. Smoke is mostly water-leaving wood that is not ready to burn. Wood lying on the ground drinks moisture from the soil, and green wood is full of sap. But a dead branch still standing on the tree, dried in the wind, snaps clean and burns nearly invisible. Small, hot, and dry beats big and lazy every night of the week. Tip number 8, take your fire at dusk and keep a dark camp at night. An open flame in full darkness can be seen for a mile through open timber. So the old way was to cook in that gray hour when there is still light in the sky to swallow the glow of the flames. Cook your meal, boil tomorrow's water, and then put the fire dead out before true dark. Dead out. Stirred, wet, and cold to the back of your hand. Tip number 9, learn the cold camp. Some nights, the most hidden fire is no fire at all. Our people on the plains solved this 10,000 years ago with foods that need no cooking. Dried meat, parched corn, nuts, and pemmican, which is dried meat pounded with fat and berries into trail food that keeps for months. Carry 2 days of food like that, and for 2 days, your camp makes no smoke, no light, and no cooking smell. That is as close to a ghost as a camper gets. Tip number 10, break your straight lines. Walk through any stretch of forest and try to find a clean, straight edge longer than your arm. You will not, because nature does not draw them. The ridge line of a tent, a tight guy line, the crisp curve of a dome, those are the shapes the human eye snags on, even in camouflage fabric. So pitch low, tuck in against a downed log or a root ball, and lean a few dead branches and a handful of loose brush over the shelter to cut that outline into pieces. You are not hiding the color. You are erasing the shape. Tip number 11, kill the shine. One glint of sunlight off a steel pot will flash 300 yards through the trees like a signal mirror, because that is exactly what a signal mirror is. Smoke your cookware black over the fire and leave it black. Mind your eyeglasses, your watch, the little metal zipper pulls, and that phone screen lighting up your face at night. The woods are dull. Be dull. And hold on to the question of where your smoke and your cooking smell actually go after dark, because tip number 20 answers it, and I promise it is not what you think. Tip number 12, protect your night eyes. Your eyes need about 30 minutes in darkness to reach their full power, and one blast of a white flashlight resets that clock to 0. 30 minutes, gone in 1 second. The old scouts traveled and stood watch by starlight, and you would be surprised what your eyes can do when you give them the chance. If you must have light, keep it low, keep it red if you can, and keep it pointed at the ground. A bright lantern in camp does 2 bad things at once. It shows you to the whole valley, and it blinds you to the whole valley. Tip number 13, finish your chores an hour before sunset. Gather the night's wood, fetch the water, and make the bed while the day's breeze and birdsong still cover you. Because once the air goes still after dark, sound starts carrying in a way that surprises people. The snap of one branch at midnight travels farther than an axe at noon. Why the night air does, that is part of tip number 20, so hold on. For now, just be done early, and let the dark find you already quiet. Tip number 14, mind your scent. A man's nose is weaker than a deer's, but wood smoke, bacon, and perfumed soap will still walk right up to him on a breeze. Use unscented soap or none at all. Cook your food 100 yards downwind from where you sleep. 100 yards, same as the water rule. Then hang your food and your trash up a tree away from your bed. That keeps your sleeping spot scentless. And in bear country, it may keep it a good deal more than that. Tip number 15, listen to the birds, because they are already listening for you. The blue jays, the crows, and the squirrels announce every single thing that moves through their woods. It is a racket of scolding, and it follows a walking man like a spotlight. The old scouts used that racket as an alarm system that never sleeps. When your camp is calm and quiet, the birds go back to their ordinary talk, and that ordinary talk means you are alone. When the woods around you go suddenly silent, sit still and pay attention. Something is moving. Tip number 16. Arrive at dusk and leave at first light. The fewest human eyes are moving in those 2 gray hours, and your camp should only exist between them. Walk the last stretch to your spot as the light fails, and be packed and walking out while the mist is still on the ground. To the daytime world, you were never there. Tip number 17. Walk in on hard ground. Soft dirt and moss remember every boot. And if you come and go from camp along the same easy line, you will wear a visible path to your own front door in 2 nights flat. So enter over rock, over gravel, over deadfall logs, and change your line each trip. Anybody who does find a faint path will follow it, so the answer is simple. Never make one. Tip number 18. Keep 2 ways out. My grandfather put it in 1 sentence. Never sleep anywhere with only 1 door. Before dark, walk your escape line in both directions so your feet know it without your eyes. A camp backed into a dead-end pocket of brush feels cozy, but cozy is not the word for it if trouble ever comes up the only opening. Tip number 19. Leave the place breathing like you found it. In the morning, fill your fire hole, scatter the cold ashes and the stones, fluff up the flattened leaves where you slept, and pack out every scrap you brought in. My people took only what was needed and gave the land time to recover, and here is what I want you to notice. The respect and the stealth are the same exact skill. The camp nobody can find afterward is the camp that honored the ground it sat on. And that brings us to the part I promised you at the start. Tip number 20. The invisible river. The moment the sun goes down, the ground begins losing its heat to the sky, and the air lying against the ground cools with it. Cold air is heavier than warm air. So all night long, that cold, heavy air slides downhill off the ridges, down through the draws and the creek beds, moving exactly like slow water, until it pools in the valley bottoms. That is the river. You cannot see it, but it is flowing through every piece of hill country in America right now, every single night. And here's what matters to you. That river carries things. It carries your wood smoke, it carries your bacon grease, and it carries your sound, all of it drifting downhill and settling in the low ground. Camp in the valley bottom, and you are lying in the pool where every scent and sound collects, right where the trails and the water and the people are. And you will wake up 10 degrees colder besides, because the bottoms are frost pockets. Camp on the ridgetop, and you are a silhouette in the wind. So the old scouts split the difference with something they called a bench, a flat shelf on the side hill, about 1/3 of the way up the slope. 1/3 of the way up there, the cold river slides past below you all night, draining your scent and your smoke down into empty country where nobody walks, carrying your sounds away with it, and leaving you sitting in air 10 degrees warmer than the creek bottom. That is the whole trick. My grandfather could stand on a ridge at dawn and point to every camp in the valley because their smoke sat in the bottoms like fog in a bowl. The old scouts' camps were up on the benches above the river, and there was nothing to point at. And that right there is the kind of knowledge my grandmother's generation handed out for free, and nobody wrote it down. There are 101 pieces of it in the Native American way, the remedies, the wild foods, the survival skills, and the kitchen, written out plain and step by step so they do not die with me. $17, down from $47 for the inheritance of the people who had this land figured out first. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you're watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. 20 skills and one rule underneath all of them. A hidden camp is not something you buy. It is something you do quietly, the way our people did it for 10,000 years. Tell me in the comments where your people are from. And if there is native blood in your family line, like there is in so many American families, I would be honored to hear the story. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to walk you down to the creek behind my house and show you the 3 plants growing along almost every creek in America that my grandmother used for cuts, stings, and sore muscles, and the one dangerous look-alike you must be able to tell apart before you ever pick a leaf. Wado, my friends. That means thank you. Walk easy, and I'll see you down the trail.